Cadillac has taken a big, bold swing at the all-electric crossover market with this LYRIQ. Did they succeed? What's up, folks? I'm Dave Undercoffler, head of consumer insights at CarGurus. The LYRIQ was one of the first all-electric luxury crossovers on the market from a mainstream brand when it first debuted back in 2022. And since then, it's paved the way for Cadillac's broad range of EV models. This LYRIQ goes up against some stiff competition like the BMW iX, the Mercedes-Benz EQE SUV, the Audi Q8 e-tron, and of course, Tesla's Model X. So does this have what it takes to beat those rivals? Let's go spend some time with it and find out. But before we do, be sure to like and subscribe to this channel so you can get alerts on all of our future updates. All right, let's take a look at the exterior of the LYRIQ, but first some notes about trim levels. 3 different trim levels. There's the Tech, the Luxury, and the Sport. The Tech starts at about $62,000 as the base price before any incentives. Then there's the Luxury and the Sport. Each of those trims offers 3 different tiers within them. So we're testing today a Luxury 3. So that's the top-end, fully loaded luxury trim. It's about $75,000 as you see it here with all-wheel drive. A fully loaded Sport version will top out at about $77,000. What I like about the LYRIQ is that no matter which trim you choose, you're largely going to get the same exterior styling. And in my book, that's pretty cool. I think this is a great looking crossover. It's futuristic without being too weird. A couple of things to note. You got a lot of different lighting elements going on. So these are the blinkers up here. These are going to be the daytime running lights. These are your headlights. And then the grille itself will light up with a variety of different patterns depending on what you're doing, whether you plug the car in or if you've locked it or unlocked it. And then finally, this Cadillac emblem itself also lights up. Turning to the side, our Luxury 3 trim has these 22-inch alloy wheels. I think they're great looking wheels, really nice brushed metal look there. This is the charge door. You hit the Cadillac logo and it opens up. There's also then a button that will close it back up. These door handles pop out, as you can see. That's how you get in, by pulling that. And then when the car is either locked or when you're driving, those will fold flush against the door. And then finally back here, the taillight signature starts right here and goes all the way around the rear of the car. Finally, at the back of the LYRIQ, you can see, again, really sort of that aggressive styling, really futuristic, but without being too weird. I do like that. This is that light bar I was talking about earlier, sort of wraps around the entire vehicle. And then here you can also see, it's almost like a sportback profile, really sort of sharp angle to this glass. Underneath here, you can see there's no wiper, so this window may get a little dirty. Finally, if you're trying to figure out how to open this hatch, as I was, there are no buttons underneath. You're actually just looking for that Cadillac logo. All right, let's talk powertrains. But before we do, looking under the hood, obviously there is no frunk, really just a whole lot of plastic. But in terms of powertrains, there are 2 offered. There's a rear-wheel drive version and then an all-wheel drive version. Rear-wheel drive models will have 340 horsepower, 325 pound-feet of torque. They're rated by the EPA with a range of 314 miles. That's really good. If you jump up to the all-wheel drive version, that's what we're testing here. You get 500 total horsepower, 450 pound-feet of torque, and range drops by only a little to 307 miles. In terms of the battery itself, it's 102 kilowatt hours, and the LYRIQ offers fast charging at speeds up to 190 kilowatts. That's good, but not great. All right, now let's take a look at the interior. This is actually one of my favorite parts about the LYRIQ. This is a great interior, and there are a couple of different reasons for that. For one, the materials are fantastic. You've got really soft leather, you've got matte wood, you've got brushed metal accents. They're all integrated really nicely. It feels very high-end. This is definitely a luxury car. It competes against the Mercedes or the BMWs of the world, so I really like that. It's also very comfortable. These seats are comfortable. You have got a really nice position, really nice commanding view of the road, so that's great. And then there's the amenities in the LYRIQ. You probably have heard a lot about the 33-inch screen. On paper, that sounds huge, but here it's really just sort of par for the course in terms of luxury vehicles this day and age. It's good, but not anything you're not going to find in any of its rivals. I do like how Cadillac has laid it out, though. Over here, you've got some functionality in terms of a trip computer or maybe your light settings, and then you have the dashboard right here. This is going to display a variety of different things, including Super Cruise information. That's Cadillac's hands-free driving system that does come on this LYRIQ. Over here, you've got sort of a redundant screen that shows you audio controls, which is really nice when you have this screen using something else. It's got Google built in this system. That's really cool. So it defaults to Google Maps. It also has Google Store and Google Apps. So you've got a really nice big screen there. The only thing that's a little goofy is that when you use the wireless Apple CarPlay, which does come standard, I'll show you that, it then sort of shrinks the usable real estate in this screen. So that takes a little getting used to. You've got sort of this border all around it. Smaller screen than you would hope, but if you go back to the built-in, the Google built-in and the navigation system that comes with the car, again, really nice screen there. Another thing I like is that there are physical buttons for the climate control. If you've seen our videos before, you know I hate it when that's all integrated into touchscreens. It drives me nuts. It's not great functionality. This Cadillac is really nicely executed. You've got dual zone climate control for the driver and passenger. We also have heated and cooled seats. Those are over here on the door. This screen is also really nicely executed in terms of its performance. It's a bright screen. It responds to your inputs really quickly, and there's redundancy, right? So this is a touchscreen. And then down here, you've got a rotary knob and some buttons for the key functions in the screen. So if you don't like using touchscreens, or if you find this is easier to use while keeping your eyes on the road, you have that option. I really do like that. Another thing I want to call out that I think is pretty cool is that no matter what's on this display, whether it's the Apple CarPlay or whether you've got the full maps there, these buttons are always here, which means you can get to other functions very easily. Not all cars have that. Some automakers overthink it, but I really like this setup. And then the rest of the cabin has really good functionality built into it. You've got cup holders here. We've got storage down here with a USB-C charge port. You have a wireless smartphone charging pad down here that actually holds your phone in place. That's pretty cool. Down below, this whole area is open, so it's a great place to put a larger bag or a purse. In here is an additional cubby, and I love that it's got contrasting leather lining it. That's just a really nice luxury touch. One thing that's a little annoying is that there's no external glove box button. So if you want to open that up, you've got to use a button here on the screen. So if the car is off, you can't open that. That's kind of annoying. All right, turning to the rear seats, there's a lot of space back here, and I really like that. If you can see, I'm 6'1". I've got this seat to adjust it to where I would have it. So basically, I'm sitting behind myself. Plenty of room for my legs, my feet, my knees. If I do sit up really tall, my head bumps the ceiling just a little bit, but it's absolutely not a deal breaker. One thing I do want to point out, though, is there's actually a big difference in comfort between these two outboard seats and this middle seat. This middle seat is not that great. So if you are going to be transporting 5 people, make sure that you call dibs on one of the other 4 seats. Otherwise, there's a lot of amenities and comfort back here, in addition to all the space, and I love the glass roof that really opens up the cabin. You also have your own climate control down here. That includes heated seats for both of these outboard positions. You also have a pair of USB-C charge ports down below, and then a household outlet. Finally, in terms of cargo space, the LYRIQ is actually down compared to most of its rivals. You've got 28 cubic feet of space back here. That's less than things like the Audi Q8 e-tron and the BMW iX. The reason it's so small is because this angle is pretty sharp, cuts into what would be the cargo space. But still, there's a good amount of usable room back here. These seats are split 60-40 and they do fold flat at the touch of a button. And then in the cargo load floor, there is an additional storage cubby. Next up, driving impressions, and they're kind of mixed. There's a good side and there's a bad side to driving this Cadillac. We're gonna start with the good. For one, there's a ton of power in the LYRIQ. If you remember, we're driving an all-wheel drive version, so that means we have 500 horsepower. This thing flies in any situation, so I'm loving that. And then on top of that, it's a really serene, quiet experience to drive this. It's exactly what you'd expect from an expensive, high-end luxury EV. Cadillac definitely delivers on that regard. I also really like the options for regenerative braking. You've got a couple of different ways to slow this car down and recapture some energy for the batteries. One is there's actually a paddle on the left side of the steering wheel, so you can use your hands to slow down the car. Now that's not for me. I actually don't really like using it, but it is cool that it's there. If you decide you like it, you can use it, so extra functionality there. There's also multiple levels for the regenerative braking. If you go into the system menu, you can choose normal, you can choose really strong, or you can just have it turned off. This is actually the first EV where the really strong version is too strong for me. Generally, I really like having strong regenerative braking. You can do sort of one pedal driving. You're recapturing a lot of energy back into the batteries. But this is so strong that it actually gets kind of jerky, gets kind of hard to modulate. So I've just had it in the normal setting. It's been great. I do appreciate all of those options. Then there's the bad part about driving this Cadillac, and that's the driving dynamics. The suspension just feels oddly tuned. It seems to float too much when you're on the freeway. The steering also doesn't really have too much feedback. It seems a little too vague. So overall, it's hard to get a sense of what this car is doing dynamically. You don't quite get that confidence that maybe you would in a BMW iX or the Audi Q8. So that's pretty frustrating because, like I said, this is such a quiet, powerful car. You would really hope that the driving dynamics, that the suspension tuning would match how much fun it is to drive otherwise. The rest of the driving experience in the LYRIQ is really pretty good. The seats, as I mentioned earlier, are very comfortable. You could do a nice long road trip. Everybody's gonna feel like they've got a comfortable seat. The visibility is not great. This A pillar is kind of thick, and then the B pillar over my shoulder, also kind of thick. The rear window is kind of small. There is one nice trick up this LYRIQ sleeve that helps visibility, and that's the fact that it has a digital rear view mirror. So I can just turn it on like that, and that's gonna give me a better sense of the vehicles around me. So I like that. All right, folks, there you have it, our review of the 2024 Cadillac LYRIQ fully electric crossover. Pros, well, we love the interior. It's got great amenities, materials, and style. And we really like just how quiet this car is on the road. And finally, the LYRIQ has great range no matter which version you choose. Cons, well, the driving dynamics leave something to be desired. And the LYRIQ doesn't have great fast charging capabilities. Finally, there's the exterior styling. We like it, but it may not be for everyone. But overall, we really do like this LYRIQ. It's a great first effort from Cadillac in terms of its EVs, and it sets the bar high for the rest of the EV lineup that Cadillac is soon going to be rolling out. So for reviews or listings of this LYRIQ or anything else you're shopping for, new or used, be sure to check out CarGurus.com. And before you go, like and subscribe to this channel so you can get alerts on all of our future updates. We'll see you out there.